Hey there, Captain N Gaming fams. Imagine a high-risk, high-reward Quantum Remembrance character Castorice, who fights alongside her summon, Netherwing. I'll walk you through the ultimate Castorice guide including her kit, best Lightcone, Relics, Ornaments, team setups, and many more. But first, if you're confused by her complex kit, don't worry, I got you. Castorice's unique passive. First things first, Castorice has a game-changing passive. When an ally would normally die, they instead enter a temporary moon cocoon state, delaying their defeat for one action. If they heal or get a shield before their next turn, they survive. If not, they're gone. But here's the catch. This only works once per battle, so use it wisely. Basic attack. Her basic attack is simple. Quantum damage based on her max HP. Nothing too crazy here as always. Skill. Now things get spicy. Castorice's skill sacrifices 30% of her entire team's current HP to deal quantum damage to one enemy and splash damage to the adjacent ones. If the team doesn't have enough HP, it drops them to 1 HP instead. But wait, if her summon Netherwing is on the field, this skill transforms into Boneclaw Doomdrake's Embrace. This version consumes 40% of all allies' HP, except Netherwing, and unleashes a joint attack from both Castorice and Netherwing, hitting all enemies hard. Ultimate. Castorice's ultimate is where things get real. She summons Netherwing, a powerful summon with its own HP and speed. This also creates the Lost Netherland field, reducing all enemies' resistance by 20%. While Netherwing is up, Castorice's damage boost extends to it as well. But Netherwing isn't here forever. After 3 turns, or when it runs out of HP, it disappears, taking Lost Netherland with it. Netherwing's abilities. Netherwing has its own attacks, and they all revolve around consuming HP to increase damage. Basic attack, a quantum AoE attack. Breath scorches the shadow, repeatedly sacrifices its HP to increase damage. The more it uses it, the harder it hits. Sacrificial burst. If Netherwing is about to go down, it detonates itself, dealing massive quantum damage and healing all allies. Plus, while it's alive, it acts as a backup for allies, absorbing damage they would take once they're at 1 HP. Talent, fueling the fire. Castorice has a special gauge called New Bud. Every time allies lose HP, she gains New Bud. When it's full, she can use her ultimate. The best part? As allies lose HP, Castorice and Netherwing get a stacking damage boost. However, once Netherwing is on the field, New Bud stops generating, and instead, all HP lost from allies heals Netherwing. Technique, Silent Death approaches. Outside of battle, her technique makes her invisible to enemies for 20 seconds. If she ambushes enemies, she immediately summons Netherwing and sets up Lost Netherland, while also consuming 40% of her team's HP to charge her New Bud gauge. In short, starting fights with her technique gives her a head start. Now let's talk about traces. Trace 1. After ally targets excluding Netherwing, receive healing converts 100% of healed value into New Bud. If Netherwing is on the battlefield, the healing is instead converted into Netherwing's HP. The converted value for each ally target cannot exceed 12% of New Bud's maximum limit. The accumulated conversion value from all units resets after any unit takes action. Trace 2. Inverted Torch. When Castorice's current HP is greater or equal to 50% of her max HP, her SPD increases by 40%. When Netherwing uses Breath Scorches the Shadow and deals fatal damage to all enemies on the field, or brings them to a point where they cannot lose more HP, Netherwing's SPD increases by 100% for 1 turn. Trace 3. Where the West Wind Dwells. Each time Netherwing uses Breath Scorches the Shadow, its DMG dealt increases by 30%. This effect stacks up to 6 and lasts until the end of this turn. Her best Lightcone will be her own signature 5-star Lightcone, Make Farewells More Beautiful. It increases the wearer's max HP by 30%. When the wearer or their Memo Sprite loses HP during their own turn, the wearer gains Death Flower, allowing them and their Memo Sprite to ignore 30% of the target's def when dealing damage, lasting for 2 turns. When the wearer's Memo Sprite disappears, the wearer's action is advanced by 12%. This effect can trigger once per ultimate use. Another strong choice is the 4-star Lightcone, Sweat Now, Cry Less. It increases the wearer's crit rate by 12%. When the wearer's memo sprite is on the field, their damage dealt increases by 24%. For another 5-star alternative, Memory's Curtain Never Falls is also viable. It increases the wearer's speed by 6%. After using a skill, it increases damage dealt by all allies by 8% for 3 turns. Castorice's best relic set is Poet of Morning Collapse. The 2-piece bonus increases quantum damage by 10%, and the 4-piece bonus decreases the wearer's speed by 8%. Before battle, if the wearer's speed is lower than 110 to 95, their crit rate increases by 20% up to 32%, which also applies to the memo sprite. A good alternative is Genius of Brilliant Stars. The 2-piece bonus increases quantum damage by 10%, and the 4-piece bonus ignores 10% def when dealing damage. If the enemy has quantum weakness, the wearer ignores an additional 10% def. For planar ornaments, Bone Collection's Serene Domain is the best choice. The 2-piece bonus increases max HP by 12%. If the wearer's max HP is 5,000 or higher, it increases their and their memo sprite's crit damage by 28%. When building Castorice, you want to focus on stats that enhance her durability and damage output. Since her kit revolves around HP scaling and crit potential, go for HP % on boots. The chest should prioritize either crit rate or crit damage, depending on your team composition. If you plan to pair her with Sunday, leaning toward crit rate is best option. Meanwhile, the sphere and rope should also focus on HP %, maximizing her tankiness and making full use of her abilities. Substats play a crucial role in fine-tuning her performance. Prioritize crit damage and crit rate to boost her offensive capabilities. HP % remains a strong secondary stat to further amplify her scaling. Lastly, if you're planning to use the Poet of Morning Collapse relic set, ensure her total speed remains at 110 to 95 to fully activate its bonus effects. There are several team options to choose from. Feel free to pause the video and plan your squad. The examples provided are to help you understand her team compositions. Here are some great things about Castorice. She has high burst damage potential through Netherwing stacking damage buffs. She gains great synergy with healing-focused allies like Luocha and Gallagher. There are flexible Relic and Lightcone options to adjust for different team needs. Good survivability, with high HP scaling and damage output can be achieved easily. Now, for the not-so-great parts. Requires proper speed tuning to optimize damage output as mentioned earlier. High investment required for best performance. Needs proper relics, stats, and Lightcone. Needs constant healing to maintain team survivability. And that wraps up today's video, Captain N Gaming fam. I have a dream. One day I will reach exactly 1,069 subscribers, take a picture of it, and frame it on my wall. No joke, I'm serious. So please help me achieve this goal, and I'll see you in the next video.